welcome back to Team Glow. This is another podcast yet again with our beautiful lady.
Hey, girl.
So anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Anna App. I own a nutrition store, Maumelle Hub in Maumelle. I have been married about 4 years, coming up in July. I'm one of 7 kids, so I'm a pretty big family, and I get to do this business with my sister and my brother-in-law and my bestie over here. So I just wanted to do a little introduction. This is Angel Monroe. Hey, girl.
Hey.
How you
Hey,
doing?
girls. Hey.
Hey, girls. Hey. So Angel has completely changed my life. Met her in 2018. I'm so like met her in 2018 in a nutrition store and just would go in all the time and talk about my feelings.
Yeah, basically. It was kind of a lot like what we do here, but we were just very different back then.
Yes, and except I would complain about my job and how I liked it, but I didn't like the people, so it was making me not like it.
Yep.
But she just completely transformed my life, my health, my heart, my mind.
You helped me transform too. It goes both ways.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So Angel, this is Angel, everyone. Angel Monroe. Tell us about you.
Well, hey guys. So excited to be back with you guys today. A little about me. What a loaded question. Okay. So, I am from Central Arkansas. I'm not technically, but I claim it these days because I've been here pretty much my whole life. I'm actually from St. Louis, Missouri originally, but my parents split and we moved here when I was young, and I call it home. I am one of 2. My older brother lives in California now. And I, before finding my health journey and finding myself as a wellness coach, I used to teach dance and choreography for a while. And then I found myself working at a pain clinic for a while. So kind of have done a few things, a few chapters.
All the things.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first business that you've had.
No, I owned a dance studio right out of high school. Probably not the smoothest decision for a newly graduate out of high school, but I did it, and there's a lot I learned from that season for sure.
How long did you dance before that?
Well, my mom started me in class when I was 2, so
you've
forever.
been dancing forever.
Yes.
Well, cool. Well, I'm glad you're here with me, and we get to do a little podcast again. We did one earlier.
Yeah.
But I just want to talk today about confidence and self-love and growing into ourselves that we are today.
The good stuff for women. Yeah.
Because the person I was when I met you no longer exists.
She's still there.
Yeah.
She's there.
So have you always felt confident in your life?
No. Growing up, I was actually kind of I felt like the oddball out all the time. I was like the outcast because I was either around, I'm biracial, so I was either around my like black side of the family or my white side of the family, and I never felt like I fit in.
And so within your family, you never really felt like you fit in.
Yeah, but it trickled into everything, because when I was at home with my mom, who is my white mom, right? Like I would go to church with all of white people or whatever. It was not very it felt like everything in my mind. Now, was it absolutely as segregated as I was viewing it? Probably not.
Yeah.
But there was a very big culture change every time. And so spending summers away at my dad's house was so foreign, and then coming back, and
that
it was
is
just
so interesting.
Yeah.
So you got to experience both sides.
Definitely took a long journey to get me to a comfortable, confident place in life.
When do you feel like you started on that journey? Like, was there a time that you thought in your head, I don't feel confident, or was it and I need to change this, or was it something that you just kind of started taking a path in that direction?
So, the first step for me was the wrong found confidence. And so I was finding quote unquote confidence in my relationship. So people would call me the serial monogamous. I was always in a relationship. I was that girl. It started really in 7th, 8th grade. I had a really I met this guy, and I was with him for 4 years. I mean, who's with somebody for 4 years in 7th grade? how does that happen?
So it wasn't just a crush. Like, this was a relationship.
No, like I fell in love with this guy, and I was like, I was literally just like attached at the hip with him everywhere. And then the second we got out of a relationship, I felt the need to be in another one. And so I think I was finding a lot of my security and like self-love or whatever. How people loved me was kind of my version of like love versus having self-love and confidence. So yeah, I struggled with that for a long time. I don't think I really recognized that I was low in self-confidence until probably later in high school years. I was like, wow, I feel like I'm comparing myself to everyone around me, and I don't feel pretty. I don't feel good.
Aww,
Yeah.
it's so sad.
Well, it was 100%. And growing up, oh my gosh, I had the worst teeth. So like I was so insecure about my teeth, and I finally got braces, and then that's when I was starting to realize, like at the point where my braces started to like straighten my teeth, and I was like, okay, like I can see that I didn't have confidence, and I'm still struggling in this area.
Are you today?
Everyone does to a certain degree, but I would say I'm the most confident now than I've ever been in my life.
Do you have like one thing that maybe pinpointed that, or is it a bunch of different things? Like what has made you confident throughout the years?
That's such a great question. I think, in phase 1 of this journey to confidence, I'll just call it phase 1.
I love that. Phase 1.
In phase 1, I felt like what made me confident was accomplishing things. When I started to like see my worth, or what I thought was my worth in certain areas, which for me at the time was like business related stuff. I was like, oh, this is my strength. I'm a business person. Like I can do XYZ and I can accomplish XYZ. And so I started to hold my chin a little higher, but it wasn't necessarily that I felt like I was beautiful, pretty, or I loved myself. It was that I was looking at certain,
like what you accomplished, milestones,
accomplishments. Yeah. And I loved the praise that came with it. But what really started to like change the way I was looking at like what really needed to happen there was personal development became like this like term that I like started to really understand what it meant. And one of my mentors in my life told me, every day, if you're not starting your day with some kind of like development for your brain's going to choose what route it wants to go in because you haven't told it.
It's so true. You've helped me a lot.
Well, girl,
focusing, like I didn't even think about personal development.
Yeah.
Tell me.
It's a game changer. It's a game changer.
Like, but it's so true.
We don't think about it.
Morning, start your day with personal development.
So like starting your day with something that, truly impacts the way you make decisions throughout the day and the way you think, which little did I know really truly changes the way you like feel every day. So over time I started to feel good. It was like at first it was just I started to feel energized, and then it was I started to feel a little bit smarter or like intuitive, and then it was I was starting to just feel good about looking in the mirror. It was like I don't necessarily think that it was solely, I know a lot of it had to do with I was taking care of my body and I was taking care of my health.
Which makes a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference.
You feel good.
Yeah, but I think the combination of like having that chapter overlap with a chapter where I was just putting good things into my mind and like remembering what really, or maybe just recognizing for the first time what like it looks like to actually be, wise and beautiful in a different way, not just like strutting your stuff, in your heels and your little short skirt.
Yeah. Feel like this is my confidence now, but really get real confident.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you said that about your relationships, like starting young. I had no clue.
Oh.
But I had something so similar. Like
really?
I didn't officially start dating someone until I was 16. But I always either had someone that had a crush on me and I was crushing on them, or vice versa. Like but it wasn't official. We were too scared to do that. Like we were too young to even like hold hands. It's too intimidating.
That's so cute.
Yeah, or like text.
Okay.
Or like
or text.
Like literally this guy, I think I was 12 or something, and he would try and call me, and I would see him calling on the phone. I'd be like, and I couldn't pick up.
What
and I was 12.
Like to be young and innocent again.
Yeah.
That's
but
funny.
I did that. I always I was always like, I would get out of a relationship and get in another relationship, and I would hate to admit it, but I probably found a lot of my self-worth in how I could help that person.
Yeah.
Like improve their life.
Yeah.
And
I think
that
it's so
would
common.
Yeah, it would completely alter how I felt and how I acted throughout my life, which I haven't even really thought too much about it. I mean, I think about things here and there, but now talking about it, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think, for women too, it's specifically challenging because a lot of our life is to support and give and to like work
be like a little caregiver.
Yeah, like work really hard to like provide and support the little beings that we create, the husbands, the family, that like we are the nurturers, and so it's easy to get lost in relationships and find so much like worth there that you lose sight of inner self-worth in general.
Well, and I think it's huge too when you're in a relationship with somebody, and I don't know how it is for everyone, but for me, I feel like my goal was like, I'm going to get married and my husband will take care of me and I'll be a stay-at-home wife and take care of the kids. And then I think probably around the time I met you, I mean, you had a huge influence in it. I got out of a bad relationship too and met, thank God, my angel of a husband that saved my life. Like, I don't know where I'd be without him. But I mean, he really encouraged me, like, you should do whatever you want to do. And I started thinking, like, knowing you, what if I started my own thing? Like, what if I did have my own business? What if I was a bad, like, what if I did that?
Because you are.
Yeah. And so I had to thank you. I'm like, yeah. And so I had to switch how I thought, which is kind of scary to try and get out of that of, you can do both. You can be a stay-at-home wife and raise your kids and also completely support yourself and have a huge business. But I couldn't see that both for the longest time. And I think it's amazing that, like, when I met you, it's like, okay, maybe I can do this, but I have to completely change how I think. Yeah. And you almost have to put that side on hold for a while.
100%.
And build this and yourself, which is so good.
Yeah. I agree.
Get your mind right.
I think it's so important for women to like know that they can have it all, do it all, be all of it. My first like vision for why I wanted to be a business owner was because I wanted to be the bad, and I wanted to like be the most amazing mom. I wanted to be present with my kids one day, but I also wanted to have like a security blanket of like financially being able to do what I want when I want, and not even have even my own lovely husband tell me I can't do what I want when I want. Like I didn't want limitations in any area of my life. Yeah. And I think, our own view of ourselves is the only thing that holds us back from having all the things that we even sometimes don't even recognize that we desire. It's a desire deep down, but we're like, sometimes we feel like, oh, I can't be that selfish. Like, I don't want to be that greedy. I don't want to be, I think sometimes society tells us having too much is wrong. But you can have everything that you want. And I think that that's, whether you believe that, it's God, the universe, anything, I think that's how it's destined to be, is if the desire's there, it's for a reason.
That's crazy. It really is crazy that you can have whatever you want. And it is a mind strengthening game, I feel like. Like, I still to this day go in waves, and I'll be really hard on myself and be like, you're not doing good, maybe you can't do this. And it's like either you or, again, my husband or someone close in my life in my close circle will be like, take a step back, look at what you're doing, it's incredible, keep going, don't give up.
100%.
And I think that's so encouraging.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend at one point, and when she hears this, she's going to be like, what are you talking about? Stop talking about me. But she was just sharing some of her dreams of like what she wants her life to look like. And I felt like, when she was saying it, it just reminded me of, sometimes we share our dreams with other people and they like kind of ruin it for us a little bit. And I think society doesn't help with that like self-belief element because, for example, one of the things she mentioned was like she wants to have the time freedom. She wants to be able to not feel like she has to work every day of her life,
Mhm.
but she wants comfort and financial freedom at the same
Mhm.
time, you know? But she also doesn't necessarily want the responsibility of owning her own business.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like most people would think about that and be like, well, you have to have at least one of those things. But reality is, no, you can have whatever you want.
Mhm.
There's so many people out here. Like, even just thinking of the most simple way to put it, you know, there's people that play video games for a living. Like, they don't
really
work
can't do it
every
if
day.
you
You know
want,
what I
yeah.
mean? They literally, you know, so you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that hopefully now, as society's shifting and changing and more awareness around like mental stability and like mental health and different things is evolving, that people are starting to see like, we got to stop judging less.
Mhm.
Or
It's so
stop
true.
judging so much.
Yeah.
Start judging less.
Yeah.
You get it?
But it's so true. Like, even my family, some family will be like, you still working your life away? And it's like that little comment.
Yeah.
You have to either ignore it or be like, yeah, and it's great.
Yep.
Or,
As a matter of fact, I am.
yeah, and it's great and it's going great. It's like however you take
How do you
it.
reply to that?
Yeah, however you take it. And I have some friends too. They're like, are you happy? Because they see that I'm working so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yes, I am happy. But is this also one of the most difficult things? Absolutely. Finding yourself,
100%.
growing your mind and your personal development. I go in and out of growing my personal development.
Yeah.
Like, I'll sit there and listen. You know this. I'll listen
I was
to
like,
podcasts.
where's this going?
Yeah, I'll listen to podcasts and like really work on it, and you know, and then a couple months go by, and something will be said. I'm like, no, I work on my personal development. Like, this happened with you in a while, and you're like, how? And I'm like, I
haven't done it in a minute.
I think good. I'm like,
good.
I like make sure that my thoughts are positive. And
Yeah.
you're like, no, I think you should start listening to stuff again. I'm like, okay. And you really have to continue to focus on it.
It's consistency.
It's not
it's
easy.
Just like the gym. It's just like working muscles.
Mhm.
But, you know, like for me, self-love, self-confidence, going back to like, what does that look like on a daily basis? Well, for me, one day it could be a Tuesday, and then I have so much confidence and I'm so excited about life and all the things feel great. And then on a Wednesday, my hormones go up all over the place. And I'm like, I ain't got no self-love. All I see is wrong, right? Like, you look in the mirror and you don't see things. And I think the reality is, like, no matter where you are in your journey, whether it's your weight management journey, your muscle gain journey, your, you know, mental health journey, your personal development, it's like the consistency and the effort of recognizing the good. It's, I'm going to say that again because it's like,
and it's so
the
hard
consistency of the effort in recognizing the good. So, you know, through that journey, I was talking about, like, I was doing personal development and this and this and that. Well, it wasn't the fact that I was just listening to something. It was at the end of the night, I would look at my day and I'd be proud of myself because I told myself I was going to do something and I actually followed through with it.
Which is really hard to do.
It's so hard to do.
To be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Especially when if you're like a really caring, not even caring person because you're still a caring person, but like someone that just
depends on the day. No,
like a caregiver, like pours into everything.
Yeah.
Like, you've talked
nurture, like
you've talked in the past about your relationship. I don't know how much you want to open up about your past, where like you did so much for him. You took care of his kid. Like, you can say as much as you want.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to not. Sometimes I feel selfish in a way, looking back and being like, oh, I did good. Oh, I'm building a business. Oh, it's succeeding. I don't know what it is. It's like sometimes.
Yeah. There's a shame about like
sometimes
feeling
it's like,
good about those things.
Yeah. It's like, well, you can do better. So it's like you have to. I have to, not you. I'm talking about me. I have to fight those feelings sometimes and do take time to look at it and be like, you're right. And I think that's where close people in my life come into, where they remind me, because I go in waves. You know this. We've had conversations here and there where I'm so in my head about stuff and I go on a little rabbit trail because I'm not where I want to be right now. Yeah. But we're always getting there. And it's like a few steps forward, maybe one step back. And maybe with the one step back, that's when I'm like, my life is falling apart or whatever, you know.
I love
but then
how
when
honest
someone
you
can
are.
see, when someone can tell you, hey, this is what I've seen you do in the past year, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
It's crazy because other
forgot.
people, you know, even for you, example, like Anna, other people look at you and they're like, she's always so happy. She's so bubbly. She has no care in the world. She's so stress free. Like,
Yeah.
and, you know, it's not always accurate.
No.
But that's the thing that you allude, which means like how we should see ourselves is what is majority there.
Mhm.
Majority of your life is very joyful and happy and all
Mhm.
the things. But we like focus in on that 10%, you know, or
Mhm.
like, oh, this day just went crazy because I had a bad 5 minutes.
It is.
You didn't have a bad
Or your
day.
little hormones.
You had a
like-
bad 5 minutes. I heard this on another podcast. It's like you had a bad 5 minutes that you drug through the whole day to make it a bad day. You didn't
Mhm.
have a bad day.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's
Same
about
thing.
bouncing back
Yes.
from that little time.
Yeah.
Like, how fast can you be like, okay, that's fine, whatever, and not sulk in it?
Yeah.
I feel like I was good at sulking in this for a minute.
But that kind of goes hand in hand with, you mentioned like self-talk. Like you mentioned something that made me think about self-talk, and I wanted to kind of share this a little bit from, I used to have a really terrible self-talk. Like it seemed like no matter how positive my like outer self wanted to be, my inner self was like, you can't do that. No,
Mhm.
that's not it. No, you look stupid. I used to, anytime I was in a crowd of like 4 or more people, I would be like the one in the corner that was super quiet.
Yeah.
I would never talk to people because my inner thoughts were just so wild that like I couldn't get out of my own head.
Yeah.
And even to this day,
I was gonna
still
say,
struggle. Like, no.
I'm glad you said it. Sometimes in crowded rooms, you're like, I don't know about this.
I get like so inside my own head, and I'm like, I don't want to be here right now.
Mhm.
And it's crazy because, you know, like I travel and talk on stages and I'm around people all the time now. And so it's like, clearly I'm destined to be in a position where I'm around a lot of people,
Mhm.
right? That's like what's truly made my life the most fulfilling.
You're meant for something huge.
But it's also the hardest thing for me. I think that like our self-discovery and our biggest life like joys are on the other side of our biggest fears and hardest challenges and most deeply wounded selves.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Think about if you didn't fear anything. Like if you overcame your fears.
I don't even know if I can imagine what that would be like.
Okay,
So
so
crazy.
Alex, my husband, listens to Joe Rogan all the time.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan is not afraid of anything. He has conquered all his fears and he's like, nothing scares me. And he almost wants that adrenaline feeling, that anxiety feeling. And I got to thinking, really, like, what are the things that really terrify me in life? And you know things, you know, sharks, heights,
Yeah.
speaking on stage. Those are like
Yeah.
my things that really, really, truly terrify me or give me anxiety. And I was just thinking like, okay, sharks, like whatever, I could be afraid of sharks forever. Like that's okay. I don't have to work on that. Heights, like maybe I should get over that. You know, you might be a mom, maybe. But speaking on stage, it's like, imagine the things that I could do with my life if I changed that and I
Yeah.
worked on it. And you can overcome anything.
You absolutely
The
can.
more you do it, the more you practice it, just like daily life. Like you see me being happy, people see me being bubbly, people are like, you bring all the energy. And sometimes I look at myself, I'm like, joke's on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I go home sometimes and I'm like, I just sit on the couch, I'm like, oh, like what do they mean? But it's something where that is who I am and I
Yeah.
like that person. So I continue to do it every day.
Yeah.
It's like if you're consistent and you are disciplined, you may not like what you do, but I've heard if you show up like you love what you do, it's going to become your reality.
Yeah.
So you keep going to the gym, you don't like it, but you're disciplined to keep going. And every time you work out like you love it, you're obsessed with it, you're passionate with it, you're going to learn to love it.
Yeah. I think that's the thing we have to accept is like, no matter how much you love something, there will always be parts of it you don't love.
Mm-hmm.
And the parts of it you don't love are usually what takes you away from it. And it's the same with ourselves. So like going to the gym, going to the gym, you love what happens after the gym. Sometimes you love being on the treadmill and walking, but you don't love the weight room or whatever the case may be. Or some days, like PMS days, I do not want to be at the gym. I don't love it every time.
Sauna day.
Same thing with like your career, right? You may not love it every day or everything about it, but you love the result of helping someone or, you know, whatever it may be. But it's the same thing with ourselves, is like, we don't have to be in this blissful, every single thing all the time is so lovely. I don't love how I talk to my husband sometimes when I'm frustrated or when I'm hangry. I don't love that, but I still love myself.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm still working every day on loving myself more, even through that, because, you know, without that, I just would be this like, oh, everything's fine all the time.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants that.
Well, and I think probably one of the biggest things that's resonated with me, I think that's the right word, yeah, resonated, is you are who you hang out with. So if you, I mean, I don't think I hang out with anyone that I used to.
Yeah.
Because
you have to
it's like,
switch.
Yeah, because it's, you know, the times where I was down or I was in a negative mindset.
You said that because I almost literally spit my aloe water out on myself somehow.
Yummy.
Yum.
And I go talk to those people instead of them, you know, trying to help me come up with a solution or looking at the good, kind of like what my friends do now. They would be like, it is dumb. This is stupid.
Yeah.
You do deserve. Let's go to Chick-fil-A. Let's go eat. Let's go have our feeling. You know, like.
Yeah.
And I just think that's huge. Who
I agree.
you hang out with. That's probably one of my biggest advice to someone that's trying to work on themselves is really look at your inner circle.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what an inner circle is, look at the people you hang out with the most. And it's like, my brother-in-law told me this once, he told this to me when I was 12, and I still think about it. He was like, when you're picking friends or just basically your inner circle, people you look up to, imagine that you are on a baseball team or basketball team, whatever team you want to pick. Would you pick teammates to play with you that are worse than you, the same as you, not worse as in judging, but just maybe not in the same life right now?
Yeah.
Or someone that you are like, wow, they are the best basketball star ever, and I got to figure out how they're making those hoops.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think it's okay, because I had really bad friends at the time, and I just couldn't see it. And he was like, I think that if you choose someone that's, you know, you have one or two people that are walking through life where you're at, so you have someone to relate with you, and the rest are people you look up to, that's how you're going to get through your life. But if you choose whole team of inner circle of people that maybe they're all looking up to you, what's going to happen when you're down in the dumps? You're going to like go right back to them.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah. So he's so smart. He's so wise. He married us, actually. He's like, I just love him so much. Yeah, he's been in my life forever.
Oh, but I know who you're talking about then. Okay, got it.
Yeah, he's so wise. But I always think about that, and I've shared it a lot with people that are trying to focus on self-love in their journey.
It is important.
Like, hey,
it is important because when you're in the thick of it, when you're in the days where you don't want to do the thing that you know you need to do, or in the days when you need somebody to just kind of tell you like, hey, get out of the funk or whatever, you need it to be somebody that's got some real grit, wisdom, and experience, and love, some real care, you know, and has been in similar situations, you know, that can really speak on it, because that's when, you know, when we can relate and grow together, it's just totally different. So I agree. I remember there was a moment that I was at a friend's house, and this particular friend was married, and I was single at the time. Well, not technically, but I wasn't married. I was always in a relationship.
Yeah, you were always with someone. So
this was like probably 10 years ago.
Oh, little baby angel.
Yeah, maybe longer than that. But I remember I was doing some classes online. I was like pretty secluded other than this group of friends. And one aha moment I had was I was at this girl's house, and she was talking about like her friend circle of like wives. And she was talking about this particular wife and how this particular wife like talked to her husband, and how she disagreed with how that wife talked to her husband. And, you know, I'm just listening, and then next thing I know, a couple weeks goes by, and I witness this same girl talking to her husband the way she complained this other girl was talking to her husband. And it just was like one of those moments where I'm like, what is that phrase where like they flock together? What is it? Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but what's the rest of it? What's
I don't
that?
know. But anyways, it doesn't matter. It was one of those moments where like a lot of the times we don't realize how much we take on the things around us. And that also is in the realm of confidence and the things like the self-talk that's even outer self-talk. Like if your friends are the friends that are like, "Ooh, girl, you can't eat that," or "Ooh, girl, I need to get skinny," or whatever, you start to take on those languages.
And you start to think that when you're by yourself and you look at something.
Yeah. And it's like you become that. And so I know I've got a lot of like people around me right now that I am being intentional with creating some distance in conversation from in that realm of, oh, I'm just always so busy. No, you're not always so busy. You just say that.
Yeah.
You know, like you just think that. You just feel that. You're not always that. The things that they're claiming over their life and over their circumstances and over themselves is not what I want to claim.
Well, I also want to be around people that, you know, if every time I come around you and I'm complaining, I hope that my inner circle is someone that's like, stop with that. Every time you come in here, you're complaining about something, like point it out.
Yeah.
And some people can take that in a negative way.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's probably why they don't have an inner circle like that. But it's like, I respect that, because if you really care about someone, you're going to point out things where they can improve. I'm not saying like nitpick people all the time.
Yeah.
But I think it's really amazing when you can do that to someone. I think a true friend or husband is going to be like, hey,
yeah,
let's stop. How can I help you focus on something
I think
else?
this, like, you know, for those of you who like made it through, you know, this entire podcast, I hope we like all take inventory together, especially as we're coming in. This is, you know, we're recording this towards the end of our season 1, and it's like taking inventory so that we can grow in confidence and grow in all of those things. It does all these things that we talked about. It affects it. You can't be the most confident version of yourself if you're hanging around people that are just like always nagging at themselves.
Yep.
You know?
And you can't be the most confident person 24/7. No. So
no,
everyone that is listening to this, I want you to just realize what you've accomplished in these past 8 weeks. I'm not sure when, you know, this is going to be released, if it's the very end of the 8 weeks, or I think we're in the 6 weeks right now, going into 7th.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, don't look at all the things that you could have done better. Been like, oh, maybe I missed that. Maybe I missed that. Oh, I could have done this. No. You're still here. You're watching this. You stuck to your plan best you could. You showed up the best you could. And it's like, we're about to go into another season of this. And I'm so excited. And
it's like 2.0. I can't wait. Yeah. Like there's so many little upgrades and so many things that's coming.
It always
improves. I can't talk about it, but it's great.
Every time that we do something new, it's always improves and it's always better. Yep. So anyway, I just want everyone to go into thinking, you know, remember who you were when you started. Think about how you've changed since you come out and what you've done. Yeah. That's and find that inner confidence.
Find it. Find your inner glow, baby.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me.
Yeah,
thanks for having fun. Me. Yeah, and sharing your little life.
All of it. All of it with you guys. Well, I appreciate you guys having me, and this is fun. Team Glow stuff is really fun, and I hope we all work really hard at finding that inner glow, because it takes effort. Yes. And we're here together to do it.
Until the next one, ladies.